Hello, everyone. Mahogany Latanya here with Pursue Potential Inc. I have the honor of having Ty the expert with Love Hurt Records. How you doing, Ty?
Good. I like this. This is a very different thing than I normally do on camera. It's so free flowy. I like that.
Very free flowy.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Ty the expert is
Mhm.
considered to be an industry leader in my eyes.
Remember that? Remember that, y'all? Next time you address me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Got it,
yeah.
got it, got it. So, Ty is going to just give us a little bit more about himself, his story,
Mhm.
where he's been, where he's going, and how where he's at now,
And
basically.
and also how that applies to you because
Absolutely.
so I think some background to where I am right now. I own a marketing agency. I'm partnered
Hmm.
with multiple studios, and on top of that, I'm an artist myself, and I've generated probably around 10 million streams for myself, and hundreds of
Beautiful.
millions of streams for my clients. And so, I started out as your average artist, and I think one of the things is, uh, in the music industry, there's so much misconception on how it works. I think, and I'm really curious to hear what you think about this, Mahogany, because
Okay.
I think the thing is, like, so many people focus in on the wrong thing, and they have
Right.
misconceptions on how the music industry works, and it's smoke and mirrors, and a lot of it is designed to look just completely organic. But the deeper you go into this, and Mahogany knows this as you go into marketing, it's
Right.
very specific, like it's very directed, and everything you get because you worked hard for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
firm believer. I can attest to
Yeah,
that.
right. And you know just to go back a little bit, because I should give my origin story,
Give an
right?
origin story. Absolutely. Let's
Yeah.
get a little bit into that.
Okay, should I say like how, origin story of like my career or as a person?
Let's start off as a person
Okay,
because
yeah, I
as a
like that.
person is going to lead into
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
because
So let's do that. Let's give let everyone
my
know
my
that.
my whole personal life like greatly influences my professional life, like to the point where, like, if I lived a different life, I probably wouldn't be doing this profession. And let me kind of explain.
Right.
So, like, and I'll give like a PG-13 version of this story, right?
Please do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I was born in Canada, in Vancouver. It's like right next to USA.
Just visited
Yeah,
Canada,
yeah,
y'all.
so beautiful.
Sure is.
Vancouver is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful cities on the planet. And on top of that,
And the people.
yeah, it's
Amazing.
so like diverse, if you know what
It
I
really
mean.
is.
Like, there's so many different communities, there's so many different sects of people, and it's a place of like really open, accepting, and
Very
just,
welcoming. I
yeah,
agree.
exactly, kindness. And there's also like a lot of money there. And I say that to say, like, as a kid, I saw like all these big buildings, and I kind of always wanted to be there one day, in
Mhm.
those buildings, in those
Mhm.
tall, like, cool metropolitan areas where, like, I saw all these cool people go in and out of, and I wanted to be part of that. And then it's funny, my dad at the time, he owned a business, but Canada is like really small, right? So owning a business in Canada is really, because there's 30 million people in Canada total. There's more than 30 million people in California. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And so the economy is different. So when you own a business in Canada, even if it's doing well, the intake of money is really different, right? Like, really different.
Good to know.
Yeah, because there's just like less people, and so there's less money to spend, and there's less demand, and all of those things. And so, that tied with like the benefits and all those things, it became taxing. So he sold his business.
What type of business?
Honestly, I think it was like a tire company or
Okay.
something like that, and it did fine like with him, but then I think he sold it, and it became like a really big business after he sold it.
Would you say your dad was a driven example for you to get into business
Oh,
yourself?
I will say, and I probably haven't told him this. In good and bad ways, my dad has been like a very hard definer of the way I live my life,
Okay.
and the way, like, I strive for things and complicated relationship with my dad because he's a really smart guy.
I see that you're getting emotional.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
makes it emotional for you?
He's demanding, and he, his own, like, the way he was a business owner, and so like the way he deals with his family was very business like, and sometimes that can be really cold. You know what I
Can
mean?
be.
And very like very assuming and very expecting and very intense. And I
Mhm.
just had like a lot of history with that. But from that, a great strive to be exceptional has arisen, right? Through the confidence he's given me, but also the crap he's given me, right?
Okay.
And so um he sold his business and then he moved into Houston, and he got a nice job. And in Houston, I probably lived for like 5 6 years. I don't really like it. People were pretty mean in Houston.
What part of Houston?
Ooh, okay. Actually, I know exact. It was like a little suburbia right outside of Houston called Tomball. I don't know if have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, I wouldn't assume you would, because it's like any suburban area. It's just like a nice suburban area outside of like the city. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it was nice, but the culture. And I'm not insulting Texan culture. There's a lot of Texan culture I like the cowboy stuff, all that. Or
Okay.
and I don't mean to like misexplain it, but yeah, I like the culture. But also, there's a culture of meanness, right? And that's
Mm.
not from all
Culture
Texans.
of meanness.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that's not from all Texans. I think Texans would agree with you. Like, uh, some Texas is very straight up,
Okay.
right? And so the way some people express that is they're very like welcoming and loving. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? But the way other people express that is intense, me driven, kind of hostile, right? It can
Wow.
be. And so,
That's your experience then.
yeah, it's
Okay.
just my
So
experience.
you're speaking from your experience.
Yeah, exactly. And
Absolutely.
I feel like, and anywhere you go, you see the ups and downs of it, right?
Absolutely.
And so I have a lot of pleasant memories of just camping and all things like that. But then we moved to California. Uh and that's where we stayed for like a really long time. My parents actually like sold their house, they sold everything. I'm the only person in my family who lives in America now.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just cuz
really?
yeah, I own my business and everyone else went back to Canada and other
Right.
places.
And that's where they're at today.
Yeah, because no one else owns a business, and so they could go wherever. But like I've been here because this is like where I built my life, and this is where I built everything else. And so going back to when I moved to California, um, I I had a lot of fun, but I was never like the school oriented guy. I I was actually at one point, which was funny. Like I got A's in every class. Like I did great. It was easy. And then I came to California, and I think there's this funny thing about when you're a kid and you're displaced. You know what I mean? Every time that happens, you like risk. I don't know what it is, but just like having a kid not be stable.
Was it a culture shock?
Yeah, kind of, cause it was also like, cause I had all these friends over there. You know what I mean? And I
Okay.
I did all these things, and I was used to life being in this way, and I come here, and I have ADHD, and I don't know if that's when like it started displaying itself, but
Okay.
and just like with a lot of teachers and stuff, they weren't really giving me. I don't know. I wasn't getting respect, and my mind doesn't work the way like a traditional school, because I talk a lot, as you can see, right? Like I'm very passionate about the things I'm very passionate about, but things I don't like, I just like don't have time for it. Like life is too short to do boring things. You know what I mean?
Life is too short
Eh,
to do what makes you happy.
right? And my entire life, every second I've built around that, right? And I always knew I was gonna be an artist. So like, honest,
Really?
yeah.
At what age?
My first memory is when I was like walking around Vancouver. My parents hired a babysitter, and I was like singing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking, I thought that's how you get signed. I was like, maybe a businessman on the street will find me. Oh, I'm almost getting teary eyed because it's just like passion is so beautiful, like such a love from such a early age. You know what I mean? It it's crazy to see the gift.
Did you have a love for a variety of
Music?
music?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I really like rap, and that's where I stick. And when my life I'm building a business right now, so I have a lot of pressure, and so I can relate to the pressure in rap. But when my life's easy and like relaxed and I'm on vacation and stuff, I love all kinds of music. I
All
love
kinds of music.
jazz. I love dance hall.
But
I
you
love
first gravitated to rap because you
yeah,
connected more with rap.
yeah, and kind of
What
like
type of rap?
you know Eminem. Well, okay, cause I'm white, right? And so
Oh,
when
really?
yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you're like 7, you gravitate towards what like is recognizable first. So like I first like gravitated to like Eminem and things like that. It's funny now though. I don't even like Eminem. But what?
What?
Yeah,
Oh, scratch
I
that.
I don't like the way I don't. He's too technical on the mic. You know what I mean? But he
Technical on the mic.
yeah, like he's very athletic, and like and what I mean by that, he's like he can run like circles around people, but it's not fun,
Yes, he can.
right?
Absolutely.
But it's not fun to listen to, at least for me. And so
Okay.
like for instance, like a Drake, like if we're just talking about like athleticism, like who can hit like many syllables like in a quick rhythm, like Eminem's gonna win that,
Absolutely.
right? But if we're just talking like straight up, if we're talking about hits, Drake wins that. Like tech Drake has 380 hits on the top 100. That's more than any artist. The second artist who's been on the top 100 as much has like 280 or something like that. Drake, I love Drake, obviously.
Okay, and I
It-
give you that. Not that everybody's gonna agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree to disagree.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. and,
Okay.
and so, but yeah, like Eminem really opened up this like completely different culture to me because I don't really align with my own culture. You know what I mean? Like my dad was really hard on me.
Your own culture. What is your own culture?
White suburbia.
Oh.
Yeah, and I also wasn't one of those emo guys who like I will fall for you. You know what I mean? That wasn't me either. So like I didn't like fit into like Blink 182. I didn't
Really?
yeah, I didn't fit, but I also didn't fit into like the preppy like sweater vest stuff that like is so prominent in those areas.
Got
You know
it.
what I mean?
Okay.
Especially too cuz like my parents just like straight up they attacked me a lot. You know what I mean? And but from that came like a rebellion and a lack of a feeling of lack of belonging. And when I listened to Eminem, it's funny cuz that was one of the first times I like felt powerful, if that
So,
makes any sense.
Back to your parents. Do you feel like they attacked you because they didn't understand you? Or maybe
Partly,
the-
yeah, partly because I think like I am very artistic, you know what I mean? And artistic children are different, but I also think, and you know, I really want to fix this for myself. When you have kids, you can only do as well as you've done. You know what I mean? And so like, if all you know is like toughness, that's how you're gonna act to your kids. You know what I mean? And like if you grew up with like issues, like maybe like I'm not gonna bring up my parents' issues that
no,
they complain
I
to
don't
me.
want you to, but I
Yeah.
just want you to, so that people can understand.
Yeah, yeah, and
You know.
and then you pass that down, right? And it's a very normal thing. It's not something to like blame. It's just something that happens in all families. But yeah, you know, I wasn't really getting that like feeling of belonging at home, and then I'd go to school, and like my teachers would like insult me, and they'd be like, "Oh, I know your parents don't care about you," and they just like, right?
That's horrible.
Yeah, and like because the teacher said that, like a lot of peers would do that, and what came from that is like a really rebellious drive, and I found a lot of solace through rap. I found a lot of solace through
Right
like
on.
yeah, and also structure, cause like I wasn't getting a lot of guidance either, and like I saw like damn these people who like necessarily didn't belong in school either, who are like very intelligent and like started their own businesses and they built their own life and like look how good they're doing, and look how confident they are.
So Ty, it looks like you've turned a lot of negative into a positive.
Oh, I try, I
Okay.
try, and
Right.
I think that's the way you win. You know, I was watching like Narcos. Do you know what Narcos is?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Mexican one.
Yes.
And I'm like, this dude, every time something bad happens to him, he like flips it into a win. And I was like, dude, if you can actually do that, like you never lose. You know what I mean? Because if
I totally agree.
right, like if
I
you
totally agree.
if you're able to take every loss and like find the way to make that work in your favor, I think that's what some of the most powerful men on the planet and women do on the planet.
Yeah.
It
And
because
just people in general.
yeah, exactly. Because that creates momentum, right? And you know, just going back to California, so I get here, not really like belonging in a lot of ways, but then I hear music, and through rap, it's a lot of rebellion, but it's also structure, like a lot of belief in self,
Right,
and
you
like
said that.
yeah, you'll hear rappers like, yeah, they talk about money, women, but they also talk about like a lot of rappers actually talk about like not doing drugs. Do you know what I mean? Like staying away from that, keeping their mind straight, like on success.
Positively right.
Yeah,
There's a misconception a lot of times when it comes
yeah.
to rap.
It just because like they come from a gritty area and so they talk gritty, but that's the reality of life, you know. And because of that, that really spoke to me. Just because like I wasn't living like the way a sweater vest kid was, you know what I mean? Like I like and again, we're keeping it PG-13, but when I was a teenager, I was like into some stuff. You know what I mean? But then
Some people can relate to that.
yeah, right. And especially no guidance at home, no guidance at school. I was angry, like no one's like really like giving me a chance. So I'll do my own thing and make my own money, and we can leave that there, right? But then moving forward, I got really sick at like age 16, like so sick my parents thought I was like dying. Yeah. Um.
Really?
And
Was
it
it
like
just something that just
yeah,
came out of the blue?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and it's a complicated thing, but it was like a lot of stomach issues, a
Okay.
lot of nervous system issues. If that make and nervous system is like so core to your being. So if your nervous system is messed up, like it's really hard to function. And so, I already got expelled from school once, before I got sick. But then I got sick and I got expelled from school again.
So you're missing a lot of school.
Yeah, and I wasn't allowed back. And like honestly, like a lot of
And
friends.
also they felt that you were a per se problem child.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
like a lot of people like they weren't giving me chances, and a lot of my friends once I got sick, because I again I was into some stuff, right, and so that was a fast life. Yeah, it's a funny story. It's
So
just
how did you just finally just say I want to really turn this around?
yeah. When I got sick, cause like all my friends from that fast life, like they went away just cause they didn't care. They were just
Yeah.
doing what they kept
Friends come
doing.
and go.
Yeah, yeah. My family wasn't really there for me, right? And so the one place that I really saw like peace and like cuz I was in pain every day. And like writing songs and recording music and also like marketing it,
There you go.
it like gave me a breath of fresh air, right? And call it God, call it fate, call it just like will, I stuck with it and like throughout the hardest times of my life, like I'm like 220 pounds right now. I'm kind of chubby. I used to be like 120 at my height and stuff. I was skin and bones. I would throw up like every day and like pray to God like just to stop the pain that I was in. And through that I was making music and I was building a business.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and like the crazy thing is, you saw my dog, right? Like I have a little dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah, her
Saw,
name's Stu.
saw her
Yeah,
several times.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen her.
exactly.
Yes.
And so even my little dog is from music. I was driving to this studio and I found her on the highway. And so like the thing is,
Ah,
as I was getting better, I just stuck with it. So I like I figured it out, the music side too. And so I think off camera I was like, you were complimenting me for my age, which thank you for that. Just in terms of success and stuff like
mhm.
that. It's I sacrificed since I was 16 to now I'm 26, right? And so it's just been work since then. And I a lot of times I'm almost like fighting back tears because it's all so personal to me and so intense. I feel it so strongly, you know what I mean? And like throughout that, I just saw that hard work, dedication, and passion like pays off. As long as
It
you're like,
does.
yeah, right? As long as you're like willing to fail and then learn from your failures. You know what I mean? And because I think another part of this conversation we're going to have,
Learn from your failures.
yeah,
Yes.
because
That's definitely the key to a lot of things. You have to learn.
you you have to learn and you have to
Exactly.
fail, and that doesn't make sense, but it's like, okay, let's say you're starting a business, okay, you're selling something and people don't like it. Okay, why? Try and sell something else. You know what I mean? And then they do like it. Okay, cool. Now let's say like they're not consistent. Why? Right? And then you build off that. Or the same thing with music. Let's say you're releasing a record and it doesn't
Right.
do right. Okay, why? Is the song not good or did you just not promote it well? Right? And like when you start
Could
out,
be all of the above.
yeah, exactly. And when you start out, you don't have any idea, right? But you just keep failing. and you see like, oh, okay, like this is how it works, and that's how it worked for me in success.
That's how it worked for you.
Yeah, like when I was 19, I remember I woke up, I was so sick, and then I just started promoting something in this different way than I've ever done before. And Mahogany, you and I will be having like, one-on-one discussions about this moving forward and stuff like that, because I'll basically be discussing all things like, here's how I did what I did,
Right.
but just for the podcast, like I did it in a way that I never did before. And at the time, I thought like paying for ads was corny. Like just like putting money into yourself, I thought that was stupid, which is dumb. Like you should put money into yourself,
Absolutely.
right? This
Invest in yourself.
yeah, this myth that it's all free is a lie,
It's
right?
not.
Exactly. But like you're competing with billion-dollar industries, so you have to spend your money wisely, right?
Absolutely.
And so like back then, and this can't happen now, just based the way the internet works. But I put $20 into something. I made like a little advertising video. It was like 4 a.m. in the morning. I just threw up, and I release it, and in like 3 months, the song gets to like 80,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah, off like
How long ago was that? Come on.
2018.
Okay.
And
All right.
I don't know if you remember me, but like from our discussion episode, the internet's changed a lot since
It
2018.
has.
Yeah,
It has.
and so because before big business owned the internet, but they didn't understand how to monetize it as much, and so they were giving away exposure a lot a lot freer. So I spent money, but I didn't spend a lot of money. Uh, and I apply a lot of the lessons I learned that day till today. I just do it smarter and better, right? So I found that one thing that succeeded. I'm like, damn, I actually saw this work, right? So then I'm like, well, then why isn't everything working? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you take it apart and you take it step by step. And so part of this is like any artist you are, uh, start in your basement, right? Just keep going. Don't be afraid to stop. And
Doesn't have to necessarily be a basement, y'all.
yeah, yeah,
Doesn't
exactly.
mean that literally.
Start
Start somewhere.
start where you're at. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And when you do that, what you start to see is, um, you start to see how bad you are, right? And then when you see how bad you are,
Look in the mirror.
yeah, you're like, okay, cool. Now I gotta. It's exactly like looking in the mirror. You're like, damn, my haircut is chopped. You know, what I mean? And you're like, let me like try some things, and like, okay, maybe your first attempt is gonna look silly, but your 30th one won't. You know what I mean?
You still have to be happy within yourself.
Oh,
Within yourself, what you see, if you're happy with it, that's what matters.
and if you're not happy with it, you won't succeed because you won't be comfortable to fail,
Absolutely.
right? Because you have to be like when you have to look in the mirror and like what you see from the
Absolutely.
beginning. Because when you see yourself trying stuff, you can't be hard on yourself. You have to be like, I'm proud of what I'm doing, right?
Proud of what I'm doing, proud of who I am, proud of where I'm going.
Exactly. And so, you know, to any artist, right? Because I think my story is actually important, and I don't say that from an arrogant way. Because my story is really any artist story, right?
Wonderful.
You start, and most of us start because there's something within us that needs that, right?
There you go.
Right.
That's it.
And for me, it was like my upbringing and my health, and just that love for music.
And needing that outlet.
Yeah, perfectly put. And
Definitely needed that outlet.
and having that thing to explain and describe and just be heard if you never felt hurt. You start and you go and you don't have the whole plan figured out, but you learn on the way, right? And like that's how, just describing what I described is how I got here. And now I own a marketing agency. Again, I've generated tens of millions of streams for myself, hundreds of millions of streams for my clients, and the people I manage and my peers and all those things.
This is all at the tender age of 26, y'all.
Yeah,
Just know this.
yeah, and
Okay.
and we all know like scale can go so much higher and lower because by some standards like I'm behind. You know what I mean? And the thing is, we don't compare ourselves to others, right? I like what Jay-Z said. I'm not comparing myself to anyone because my timing is mine, and I know
Yes,
my
that's
destiny,
very important.
right? You're not like you're not a measuring stick because if you try and measure, like, let's let there be silence for a second because this is important. Measuring yourself sells yourself short, and you're assuming you have all the information on yourself and others. And when you do that, you're prematurely cutting yourself off. You don't know what that next step is. You gotta be confident in yourself, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, so I built the agency, I have the
Okay.
streams. You know, any artist can do that. They just have to work hard. I worked hard for 10 years, right? And the next step is, funny enough, building media, like I've talked to Mahogany about. Building out that label, start hitting those billboards, start producing those things. And so when we're talking about the future, it's always bigger, it's always further, and it's always better. And you absolutely never sell yourself short. You never say I can't. You never say this won't happen because you don't know.
Absolutely. But I want to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
You've made some good music. Okay, I
Yeah.
want to get into that. Okay.
Yeah, I love
All
that.
right. You've
Yeah.
made some good music. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for music, um, it's so funny, cause like right now I'm tens of millions of streams, but I'm building a business to promote others and promote myself, like to further beyond, and I'm using myself as a spearhead. So I operate as a cold businessman in a lot of ways. I'm just facts, numbers, clients.
And that's what I admired about you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But
That's why I gravitated to you.
yeah, yeah,
So don't think I didn't do my background check.
yeah. Let's go.
Thoroughly, okay,
Thank
from
you.
one business person to another.
Yeah,
And when I looked at, everything about you, and then I started to get to know you more, and the more conversations I've had with you, and how all of your receipts add up, I was like, oh yeah,
exactly,
that's it.
exactly.
That's it.
And
This
to add
is
to,
it.
and to add to that, like it's funny, cause what Mahogany's talking about is like I focus on facts, I focus on data, and I focus on results, like straight up. But when it comes to being an artist, it's completely different, right?
Right.
I'm like, because when I'm a businessman, I have to be social, I have to be like confident, I have to be all these things because that's what business is, right? As an artist, very different. I'm introspective. I can be insecure. You know what I mean?
I love that you're saying that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Be
I
vulnerable.
exactly, and that's when the best music is made. So when you listen to my stuff, you're really going into me, and sometimes that's like positive mania, you know, positive almost to the point of being delusional, and sometimes it's sadness to the point of being delusional, right? Like
Okay.
as a person, like we all feel so intensely, and having an outlet to place that, uh that's why I do everything I do, because without that I don't I don't feel seen, and like I
Really?
yeah, and I want people to know like what's going on inside. Like it's a natural human trait to like want to share, right? And so I think maybe like going back to that beginning, like not feeling like I belong. Uh, here's where I belong, right? Like I'm telling you my story. Now you can't act like you don't know it. You know what I mean?
Got it.
And
Got
so it's like this really strong drive, and it's great because through making music, I've also been able to grow as a person because I'm very
And you're
introverted.
steadily growing.
Yeah,
And it's I like that.
because I'm very introverted as a person, and being able to close these deals, be able to go on stage, be able to take chances. Like before I was sick, I would have never taken a chance. Like
Mm,
socially, right?
really?
Yeah, I was really worried about what people thought of me, but then I got sick and everyone attacked me anyway, so I'm like, whatever,
There
guys.
you go.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
hell with those people.
They don't matter because like they're not around anyway, and like
Absolutely.
the place they're
They don't
going,
define you.
yeah, and the place they're going, they don't like their job, they don't like, their spouse a lot of times, they don't like their friends, and
Sometimes may not even like who they are
yeah,
as an
and
individual.
it's
Yeah.
it. And worrying about what those people think, it's just such a waste of time because like if you do what they do, you won't be happy anyway. So why listen to that, right?
Don't.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Don't listen, y'all. I'm telling you. Don't
exactly.
listen.
And in the future, I think it's really important to continue to strive. I think this has probably gone on for half an hour, and you know, maybe a little bit longer. So I think the important thing is how we doing
I
on
want
time.
you to what I would like for you to do is
Yeah, yeah,
give some encouraging
yeah, yeah.
insight, motivation,
Cap.
words, something to people that can relate to you
Yeah.
as a person.
Mhm.
Okay. And then also ones that can relate to you as an artist. So give
Oh, I
give
love
us some
that. You're so
insight.
good at asking questions. Thank you. Yeah, and I also really want to cap it off with a strong conclusion, and so I think I'll give three. Right,
Okay.
one's personal, one's professional, and one's both. I'll start with the both. Right, and it's that uh I'm an emotional person, so sometimes I can almost hear just talking about emotions. Right, but
Show it.
aim for the moon. If you miss, you'll be with the stars, right? And really, like, don't limit yourself. Isn't that so boring to limit yourself, right? Like, who wants to live a life where they like don't bet on them? You know, if you if you lose, if you miss, you'll be right where you need to be anyway. And you know, personally speaking, before I got sick and before I realized that like socialization is really like transaction based in a lot of ways and like not as holistic and like pure as I thought it would
Mm-hmm.
was like don't look into people too much cuz like they're just trying their best too and don't hold it like don't hold it against them but also like don't like make plans for them or because of them. You know what I mean? Cuz what's going on with them is like most people just struggle living their lives, you know what I mean? And most
Okay.
people, like I was even talking with family, like everyone has their problems, and the more problems you got, the more uh scars you have to show. And don't worry about anyone else's scars, and don't worry about yours. Focus on you, focus on what you love, and like be sincere. And even if being sincere means being naive, you won't be naive after a while if you try, right? And professionally, um, coordinate. I see a lot of intelligent people waste their talent and their art by not being consistent and like not like thinking long term. Like measure returns. See what you're doing. Look at what works. Look at what doesn't work. Don't do the same thing for 10 years. I see so many artists do that, right? Try things until things start clicking. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah, let me add to that. A lot of times too, if you try things and you see that it's not working for you after a while,
mhm.
try something else.
Yeah, and stick to like the goal. Like if you want to be an artist, don't give up. But like don't. So if you want to be an artist and you post 100 posts and they're not doing good, do something else to promote yourself. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
Absolutely. Invest in you.
Because you won't know what works until you find it, and you can't just like rely on what other people say. Cause like, oh, just post, just do this. You gotta work for it, right?
As with
And
anything in life.
yeah, and I think at that point, given how thirsty I am, I think we should cap it off here. Would you say,
Ty,
Mahogany?
I really appreciate you.
We got to hug off camera, okay?
Okay.
I might be a little stinky. I've been working all day. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I won't hold it against you.
Please don't.
Once again, thank you for coming on Pursue Potential Inc. Signing out, Mahogany Latanya.
Ty Brock,
Thank
thumbs
you,
up.
y'all.